Hi, I'm Al Linder, inviting you to join me for some fast fishing action on the In-Fisherman Specials, right here on this station.
Tonight, Iran-gate deception from the White House staff, evidence from the Senate Intelligence Committee, the big bucks battle to recapture the America's Cup.
I think that Americans like nothing better than a challenge.
High finance on the high seas. Also, the perks of serving on Capitol Hill. A perfect forecast from Bob the Weather Cat, and Jeffrey Lyons reviews Woody Allen's Radio Days.
From the Independent News, this is USA Tonight with Morton Dean.
Good evening, I'm Brad Holbrook. Morton Dean has the night off. 11 days after he went underground, the whereabouts of hostage negotiator Terry Waite are still unknown tonight. But tonight there is a new report involving Mr. Waite and millions of dollars in ransom money. A BBC report says Waite delivered $2 million in ransom money to free former U.S. hostage David Jacobson last November. That report, quoting a PLO official in Tunisia, says the money came from a ransom fund from private U.S. companies. But a U.S. source involved in Jacobson's release told USA Tonight that report is completely false. As for the missing Anglican church envoy, there are conflicting reports out of the Middle East. U.S. officials believe diplomatic sources in the area. They say Waite may be under house arrest and has become a pawn in a power struggle between his Druze hosts and Shiite Muslims holding the hostages. However, an independent Beirut newspaper says Mr. Waite has been talking with the hostages and with the kidnappers and will resurface in Beirut as early as this weekend. More revelations from the newly released Senate Intelligence Committee report on the Iran arms deal, a report that paints a picture of foreign policy intrigue carried out by low-level Reagan aides and private citizens. The report also points out glaring contradictions between testimony before the Senate panel and the facts. Here's Jeff Kamen.
President Reagan has said it again and again.
We did not, repeat, did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages.
So what was the goal?
To try and establish a relationship with a country that is of great strategic importance to peace and everything else in the Middle East.
Despite all those words, the Senate Intelligence Committee report repeatedly underlines that it was an arms for hostages swap. The committee questioned Attorney General Meese, the president's close friend and advisor, who quoted from his interview with Colonel North, a central figure in the Iran arms deal. With the president, it always came back to the hostages. It is a terrible mistake to say that the president wanted a strategic relationship with Iran because the president wanted the hostages. The words of Colonel North, quoted by Meese. CIA Director Casey wrote an account of a meeting at the White House in which the president said he was concerned for the fate of the hostages if the U.S. stopped the secret contacts with Iran. Casey told Reagan the contacts could be justified later as trying to influence events in Iran. Secretary of State Shultz strongly objected to selling arms to Iran. So, to avoid additional internal conflict with Shultz, the secret authorization for the sale of the arms to Iran made no mention of hostages. Assistant Secretary of State Elliott Abrams, the coordinator of the administration's Nicaragua policy, emerges on the pages of the Intelligence Committee report as one of the biggest deceivers. In November, Abrams told the committee that third countries had not been asked to donate money to the Contras. In fact, Abrams had personally asked the Sultan of Brunei to kick in some cash. The Assistant Secretary of State later apologized to the committee for withholding the information. And when former National Security Advisor McFarlane asked CIA Director Casey if the Israelis had been shipping weapons to Iran in 1985, Casey said no, even though the CIA knew the answer was yes. Casey also failed to tell the Intelligence Committee that funds were diverted to the Contras. Donald Regan, the powerful chief of staff at the White House, is under intense fire from the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. Regan says Chairman David Boren shut out top foreign policy advisors while allowing low-level officials and amateurs to have direct access to the president on the Iran-Contra affair. The president's spokesman, Larry Speaks, is denying a published report that says Treasury Secretary Baker, Defense Chief Weinberger, and Secretary of State Shultz will all quit if Don Regan does not resign. Meanwhile, today, for the first time, Speaks conceded that the president's Iran deal could be interpreted as a swap of arms for hostages. But Speaks insisted that was not the policy that the president approved. Jeff Kamen at the White House.
Meantime, in Beirut, bloodshed and death on both sides of the city. It was the lunch hour rush in a busy shopping area in Christian East Beirut. A school bus filled with children was driving by as a powerful bomb exploded. The bus took most of the impact. 6 people, including 5 children, were killed. 40 people were hurt. Minutes earlier in Muslim West Beirut, a bomb killed a man and a young boy. No one has claimed responsibility in either attack. Up next, proposed pay raises for members of Congress are raising some controversy, and the challenge of raising big bucks for the big America's Cup race.
We have to just redouble our efforts at this point and put our heads down and go to work in the old American spirit and just work our panties off.
USA Tonight, brought to you by Kellogg's Product 19.
Today you have a choice in the way your coffee is decaffeinated. Some brands use chemicals like methylene chloride or ethyl acetate, but Taster's Choice does it naturally, using no chemicals, just pure water and oil from the coffee bean itself. So when you choose Taster's Choice naturally decaffeinated coffee, you get pure, rich tasting coffee and absolutely nothing else.
Look, they're my parents, and I tell you, they're acting different. I mean, they go dancing. Herbert and Jane dancing. I know, Mother thinks it's fun. She wears eye makeup now. I don't know what's gotten into them. Whose is this? Why don't they act their age?
To help them get more out of life, people are eating better. Some have found Kellogg's Product 19, 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals. Feel good about yourself.
Tennis? They don't play tennis.
Feel like 19 again.
The SFM Holiday Network presents The Girl Most Likely. This young lady has marriage on her mind, and that creates problems. She has 3 prospective husbands, and legally she's entitled to marry only one of them. It's the kind of dilemma every girl dreams about. Jane Powell co-stars with Cliff Robertson.
You're not supposed to accept more than one at a time.
The Girl Most Likely, Sunday at 1:30.
Thanks, but no thanks. Congressional leaders said today the House will follow the Senate's lead and reject a huge pay raise for themselves. The raise would have been automatic unless both houses of Congress voted to reject it. Jan Smith reports now. For members of Congress, it was a simple matter of pocketbooks versus political damage.
Members of Congress are scheduled to get $12,000 pay raises next week unless they block the president's proposal. That's an increase from about $77,000 a year to $89,000. But today, House Speaker Jim Wright says the House may be forced to turn down the raises after all. Why? Because yesterday the Senate rejected increases for top government officials, fearing political fallout as Congress tries to cut the deficit. And to make sure the House also is forced to reject the raise, the Senate tied the measure to a bill for the homeless. So if House members want to help the homeless, they must sacrifice their salary increases. Consumer activist Ralph Nader argues that members of Congress don't deserve pay hikes now anyway.
They're getting plenty now. They're getting 5 times the average worker's wage, plus all kinds of perks, benefits, and allowances.
The perks include limousines for leadership posts, subsidized barbershops, telephone calls, and stationery. Members can also make up to $30,000 more a year through paid speeches. But supporters of a salary increase say those benefits don't begin to balance the expense of running 2 households, one here in the nation's capital and one in their districts. And they say top government officials have suffered a 40% loss in real earnings because of inflation during the last 2 decades. Senator Mitchell is against a pay raise, but says it is tough to make ends meet on the present salary.
Almost everything in life has advantages and disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages of public service is that, at least at this level, the rate of compensation is below that which most members of Congress could earn elsewhere.
But given the choice of personal desire and political risk, members of Congress say they may be forced to make do with less. Then the pay proposal would go back to President Reagan for his review. In Washington, Jan Smith reporting.
The race is on in Fremantle, Australia. The U.S. yacht Stars and Stripes was set to begin a best-of-7 series with an Australian yacht to see who wins the America's Cup. U.S. Captain Dennis Conner says he's optimistic about winning. Tonight we have a look at what keeps the U.S. yacht Stars and Stripes afloat. Deborah Shaw reports, but besides needing the wind in his sails, Conner also needs the money of hundreds of backers in the bank.
When Dennis Conner and his Liberty yacht lost the America's Cup to Australia in 1983, he spent $4 million. His budget now is $15 million, $8 million alone to find and build the perfect design to beat the Aussies in 1987.
We have to just redouble our efforts at this point and put our heads down and go to work in the old American spirit and just work our panties off here in the next 10 days and come up with a package that I hope will be competitive to whatever the Australians put on their line.
Conner's success so far can be traced not just to his sailing expertise, but to a sound financial game plan. With grassroots support and a lot of corporate backing, it's hoped that he'll be bringing the cup back from down under.
Budweiser, proud sponsor of the Stars and Stripes, salutes Dennis Conner and his crew as they sail for the America's Cup.
It's heavy hitters like Anheuser-Busch that helped put the wind into Sail America's challenge. About half of its budget comes from corporate sponsors like Nestle's Food, Ford, and Atlas Hotels. And after Conner beat New Zealand, Pepsi joined the bandwagon.
Pepsi-Cola has now come aboard sponsoring Stars and Stripes.
I think that Americans like nothing better than a challenge, and when the cup was taken from us in '83, we have the opportunity to get it back, and I think the people are excited by that.
Can we get you a membership to Stars and Stripes?
Sail America workers are still busy this week in San Diego soliciting money from the other half, the public. Some will contribute just $1, others $100. It's also hoped the sale of licensed T-shirts, hats, and watches will help make up the rest of their $2.5 million deficit.
We're trying to make hay, if you will, while we can, while we have all the success. So, and hopefully, even after the Cup, after we win the Cup, that there'll be some residual income, or revenues will be coming in from things that are going on.
While bets are being made on who will win the Cup this time, there's speculation on how much it will cost next time. Some say it may cost $25 million to mount a challenge in 1990. Deborah Shaw reporting in San Diego.
And coming up on Health Beat, the dental development that may delight people who need dentures. And critic Jeffrey Lyons airs his opinion of the new Woody Allen movie, Radio Days.
Pay more attention to your schoolwork and less to the radio. You always listen to the radio. It's different. Our lives are ruined already.
If you're taking more pills than you'd like from minor arthritis pain, here's a rub which might just replace pills. Aspercreme. Aspercreme relieves arthritis pain because it contains salicin, a strong non-aspirin pain reliever. Aspercreme concentrates relief right where you hurt, penetrating, long-lasting relief without the side effects pills may cause, and there's no odor. Aspercreme, strong, effective relief without pills. Remarkable.
Nice night. In recent clinical studies, one group used scope, and another group used Levoris. The results? Even after 3 hours, Levoris was more effective than scope at reducing bad breath. We always knew Levoris with zinc chloride was more effective than scope. To appreciate how much more effective Levoris is, we suggest you do your own field research.
Today in music history, brought to you by Peter Pan Peanut Butter, made from the best peanuts in the world. It wasn't a bird or
a plain passers-by on England's Seville Row saw when they looked up. It was the Beatles on the roof of their office playing a lunchtime concert for their Let It Be movie. Believe it or not, the police came and stopped the filming after the neighbors complained about the noise. The Beatles make their final public appearance today, January 30th, 1969.
Presenting new Peter Pan. I went to the theater and who did I see? Peter Pan, peanut butter. All those fine people like that peanutty tree. Peter Pan, peanut butter. Against my will, I must confess that no one can beat the taste of new creamer Peter Pan. Eat some peanut butter anytime you can. Creamy new Peter Pan.
Do high furniture prices leave you cold? Shop Gaines Furniture Outlet for super hot prices on quality furniture. 4-piece living room groups only $149. Classy European style groups only $288. 3-piece early American groups only $229. Day beds and brass beds from $69. Plus hundreds of other specials at 70% savings. And you still get a free TV with your special purchase at Gaines Furniture Outlet, 7414 South Cicero, Port City West, behind Aldi's.
Come and get it while it's hot.
Why'd you join? Usual reason. Running away? Woman. Yeah. What about you? Jealous husband? Forged check? Taxes. I couldn't face filling out my tax form. I didn't know how. Heard a lot of stories out here, brother, but you're the first guy to join the Legion because he couldn't fill out a form. Had no choice. Oh, sure you did. The IRS can help. Volunteer assistance for the elderly, handicapped, lower income, non-English speaking. Free publications, telephone assistance, community outreach for groups, lots more. You're kidding. I never kid. Most of it's available in your community and it's free. 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 I can go home. Hey, listen, if you should see my wife. I'm free. 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 I'm free.
For more information, write or call the IRS.
2 jailed Soviet dissidents will reportedly be freed soon and allowed to immigrate with their families. The 2 men, one a Nobel Prize candidate, the other the head of a charity for political prisoners, were the focus of an appeal for freedom by Nobel Prize winner Andrei Sakharov. Sakharov's wife, Yelena Bonner, announced the releases. There's also word tonight that as many as 500 Soviet Jews may soon be allowed to leave the Soviet Union. An estimated 380,000 Soviet Jews have applied to immigrate.
USA Tonight's Health Beat is brought to you by Advanced Dristan.
For most of us, being able to enjoy such foods as steak and chops is something we take for granted. But for those who wear dentures, such chewy delicacies are nothing but a fond memory. In tonight's Health Beat segment, Barry Cunningham reports on the latest denture innovation, permanent replacement teeth said to be as good as those from Mother Nature.
You don't realize... False teeth were nothing to smile about for Helen Schaub. Her slipping dentures made her lower gums sore and painful.
I couldn't eat the food that I really needed. I'd find myself eating sweets or something rather than proteins and meats and all. So it just worried me all the time, and it had a psychological effect on me.
Now Mrs. Schaub can eat fried chicken, bread and cheese, anything she wants, thanks to permanent replacement teeth.
It's just like your own teeth.
The permanent dentures are called endosteel implants. The oral surgeon drills tiny holes into the jawbone and inserts as many as 5 screw anchors, magnified 50 times in this model. The cylinders are made of titanium, which fuses into the jawbone like one's natural tooth roots. 3 to 6 months are required for the jaw to heal. Then the permanent dentures are bolted into the cylinders. The screw attachments are left exposed to prevent infection, but are not visible below the gum line. Oral surgeon Dr. Paul Krug says the operation is not excessively painful.
The only real disadvantage that I see to this is that it is a relatively expensive procedure.
The cost, $10,000 for lowers, $12,000 for uppers. That's a pretty big bite out of your bank account unless patients have related medical problems covered by insurance. Patients like Genevieve McHugh.
I thought I was a lucky gal.
Genevieve lost 4 teeth and her right jaw due to radiation treatment for throat cancer. The teeth were replaced with permanent dentures screwed into a new jaw, reconstructed with a bone graft from her hip. Her oral surgeon, Dr. Peter Knoll, says permanent dentures may have their best application in rehabilitative dentistry.
And I think this will remain reserved for those patients who are having difficulty with dentures, but by no means will it replace conventional dental prosthesis.
This is Barry Cunningham reporting.
USA Tonight's Health Beat was brought to you by Advanced Tristan.
Wall Street a lot better, though. Today I was coming up the elevator and someone said, "There goes Larry Speaks. He's full of bull." That Merrill Lynch, that's a compliment.
When you have a cold, this is the focus of suffering. Where you want Tristan, where you clog, drip, throb. Tristan gives you extra relief. Many cold products contain antihistamine, others add decongestant, but Tristan adds a third medicine to relieve aches and pains, an extra medicine for extra relief at the focus of suffering. Tristan, tablets, and new coated caplets too.
Morning is your time. The earth wakes up with you. Always feel that spark of life in everything that you do.
Grape nuts. For you, it's as natural as the morning. No sugar added, no preservatives. Just an honest, nutty crunch. Post Grape Nuts cereal. You know when you have it good.
Yes, you know when you have it good.
My friends really embarrassed me about my cat's litter box odor. So I got New Glade Litter Fresh. Just shake it on the litter, and anti-ammonia Litter Fresh eliminates litter box odor. It really works. New Glade Litter Fresh.
In recent clinical studies, one group used Scope, another Livoris. The results, Livoris was more effective at reducing bad breath. To appreciate how much more effective, we suggest you do your own field research.
He scratched and he clawed, and now he's finally made it. Portland, Oregon's Bob the Cat is top dog when it comes to weather forecasts. Bob has made such a big splash helping a local TV weatherman that he's about to receive national attention. Pat Wilkins has the story.
With the country's mania for cats, Bob the Weather Cat is a feline in the right place at the right time.
Okay, now you slowly move towards him. Just slowly.
This superstar treatment he's getting from National Geographic doesn't surprise his fans, but it's quite a come-up from the days in which, as a scrawny bundle of defiant fur called Hank, Bob scratched out a living in the alleys of southeast Portland. Portland freelance photographer Dave Faulkner is one of Bob's fans, and how fortunate it is that Dave does work for National Geographic. He told them about Bob, and they told Dave to do a story for World Magazine, one of the Society's publications for young people, a magazine with about 1.5 million circulation. Dave says it's all pretty involved. First, the publishers ran a background check to authenticate Bob as the nation's unique, only weather cat.
Then they run a test. They actually go out and ask the school children in Washington, D.C., would you be interested in this? Then they might even hold a meeting and have a psychologist says, oh, this would be a great one for kids, or this wouldn't be.
So Dave has been snapping dozens of pictures of Bob, both at home and at work. A lot of them in company with weatherman David Apple. Faulkner is also interested in things like Bob's wardrobe and has posed the weather cat in various ensembles. He might also be interested in the fact that although Bob hates dogs, even his own toy dog, he does have concern for other animals, particularly homeless animals. That concern was demonstrated recently when sidekicks Bob and David donated over $100 to the Oregon Humane Society. It was money the weather cat earned through sale of pictures at a cat show. Of course, of principal interest, pertinent to the story, and the reason for it, is Bob's job. Once a week, generally on Friday, Bob dons wardrobe that reflects the weather, holidays, the season, things like that. He is the visual backdrop for fronted weather information, a study in nonchalance as Apple intones the forecasts. Some other cats might think it's a pretty cushy job, but believe me, Bob works awfully hard to make it look easy.
You're not doing this on spec, I tell you.
Nope, no, this is an assignment. This will be published, and in their case, probably the earliest will be in 6 months. You'll probably see this next summer.
Of course, Bob can't read. At least we don't think he can read. But if he could, he'd learn he's in good company, being the subject of a World Magazine article. In the most recent issue, China's giant pandas are featured. In Portland, Oregon, this is Pat Wilkins reporting.
And up next, our top cat critic, Jeffrey Lyons, in the new Woody Allen film, Radio Days. Stay with
basketball when LaSalle hosts DePaul tonight at 7 right here on Channel 9.
Did you know the last time you starved yourself to lose fat, you might have lost muscle? Why? You didn't eat enough protein. Protein helps you keep the muscle while you lose fat. And that's what's special about Kellogg's Special K. It has the highest level of dietary protein of any cereal. So the under 200-calorie Special K breakfast may help you get the fat off and keep the muscle on. Special K. Keep the muscle, lose the fat.
Great news, great value. Get 3.9% and up to a $600 cash rebate from Ford. Yes, 3.9% in cash at Burt Wyman Ford. Your choice, all with their only $29.88 full price. A 1982 Ford Granada, $29.88. A 1982 Chevy Malibu Classic, $29.88. This 1982 Pontiac Phoenix, $29.88. At Chicago's #1 Ford dealer, Burt Wyman Ford, 3535 North Ashland.
USA Tonight, brought to you by the General Foods Corporation.
In our USA Tonight notebook, a fast food restaurant that's saying, Granny, go home. For the past 5 years, 78-year-old Chloe Curry of Salem, Oregon, spent part of nearly every day sipping coffee, knitting, and talking to friends in the local Burger King. Because she is a senior citizen, she got the coffee for free. The items she knitted, she sometimes gave to the Burger King employees. Well, after 5 years, they finally caught up with Grandma Curry and ordered her out of the restaurant. No more loitering allowed, they said. Her daughter says Mrs. Curry was, quote, really depressed, but wouldn't attempt to go back because she doesn't want to get the kids who work there in trouble. The man who kicked Mrs. Curry out of Burger King, Robert G. Boss, said he doesn't want his establishment to become, quote, a place to hang out. This evening, Mr. Boss, in a change of heart, called Mrs. Curry to apologize and invite her back in. She says she'll have to think about it. Right now, it's time for our Friday night movie. Film critic Jeffrey Lyons is here. Tonight, he looks at Woody Allen's latest film effort, which combines comedy with the nostalgia of a bygone era when radio was king. Jeffrey?
Brad, Radio Days is Woody Allen's whimsy, wistful look back at his youth, when radio was the center of the lives of dreamers everywhere, including young Woody and his family.
This program to bring you a special news bulletin. The landing of hundreds of unidentified spacecraft has now been officially confirmed as a full-scale invasion of the Earth by Martians.
Now, I love old radio stories, and I know a million of them. I've collected them down through the years, like a hobby. Anecdotes and gossip and inside stories about the stars. Plus, I recall so many personal experiences from when I grew up and listened to one show after another. This girl singing used to be a favorite at my house, one of many. Now it's all gone, except for the memories.
Pay more attention to your schoolwork and less to the radio. You always listen to the radio. It's different. Our lives are ruined already.
There I am and my Master Avenger hat and goggles, which I got off my friend in a trade. And then there were my father and mother, two people who could find an argument in any subject.
Wait, are you telling me you think the Atlantic is a greater ocean than the Pacific?
No, have it your way. The Pacific is greater.
I mean, how many people fight over oceans? Then there was my Uncle Abe. He kept bringing home fish from his friends who worked at Sheepshead Bay.
Seal! I'm home! Seal! I got fish! I had great fish today.
What do we need more fish for?
And of course my Aunt Seal, who dreamed of a more exciting life than always having to fillet his flounder.
They're fresh fish!
He has friends at Oscar's Dock, so he can't spend a single afternoon there where they don't load him up with fish.
You don't like it? Take the gas pipe.
Next there was Grandpa and Grandma. Every single morning he spent a half hour packing her into her corset.
I'm pulling! A woman in her 70s, and her bosom is still growing.
With all the familiar faces from his earliest films on hand, it's not Woody's most incisive nor penetrating movie, perhaps, but Radio Days is his sweetest. After 15 films in which Woody Allen's acting, directing, and writing have chronicled a generation, this is the one in which he sits back and sends a long-distance kiss back to the era of Radio Days, now gone forever. What a wonderful gift Woody Allen has sent us once again. I'm Jeffrey Lyons. Brad?
Thank you, Jeffrey. And that is USA Tonight. I'm Brad Holbrook. Thanks very much for being with us. Good night.